Welcome to Brighter Shore Central, and in this video we are going to go through some starter tips for the game. So let's start with some interface tips. I'll just sit on this bench first. Now what you can do is you can adjust all of these different icons as to where you prefer them. So if you wanted to move the armor symbol up one or down one, essentially you can move any of the different interfaces as to how you want them. Also on each side here you can expand back and forth on each of these areas, and it opens up multiple tabs, and these also stay locked as well, so if you wanted to play like this you can do. Secondly, goes without saying, there is a settings menu. You can change the graphics about, you can adjust the audio volumes, you can also play full screen or not full screen, and you can adjust the size of your client. You can change who you want to be seen by as well. Your minimap is expandable. You can make it as large or as small as you want the map. You can also use the scroll wheel. There's also this tab up here, which is the spells tab. Now, as you unlock the game, you'll unlock more of these spells, but here is a few of them. Now, the first one, the sense spell, highlights everything around you that's important. The second one is teleport, which you can teleport to all the different areas. You won't be able to teleport to these three until you unlock them. But for example, first off, you will be able to teleport to Hopeforest very soon. The next spell to look at is the Quartermaster. Now you can open this up, and essentially what you can do, you can deposit all different types of equipment within it. So you've got Hopeforest equipment, and there's a lot of tabs where you can actually put equipment in, a lot of slots to put equipment in. Same thing for each other area of the maps, essentially all the episodes. And also there's a tab for untuned equipment. I'll go into that in a moment. What this allows you to do is to have extra inventory space. So if you run out here, you can put a bunch of stuff in here to do that. But do remember when you're using the Quartermaster tab to not actually put a bunch of junk in there. Try to keep some of the more rarer items, stuff that's 3-star and 4-star as you level up. Make sure that you manage this and organize it as well, and keep everything sorted so that you know which items to sell and which not to. Also, this is the immunity spell. Essentially what it does, if I go into a zone like this and I am basically in trouble or whatever, you can proc the immunity spell here, and I can't move. I can't actually get out the zone until I do this, and now I can move out the zone. So if you want to get out of a certain area of the map, you have to use the immunity spell to be able to move out away of the tiles, and you got to also make sure you time it correctly. If you time it too late, then the mobs are going to get too much attacks in where you end up dying. Now there is a range of houses in Brighter Shores, and you can essentially go in them. Some of it is for quest lines, but also what you can do is you can steal from the trunks. That is just a good way to get a bit of extra starter cash. This is the obelisk where you can tune some of your untuned equipment, and how you do that is essentially you may have some in your Quartermaster or in your inventory. Withdraw, you can then go onto your backpack and you can see some of your untuned equipment. All you got to do is click on the obelisk, tune item, and then you can tune whatever item it is there. That's essentially what you're supposed to do before either testing out the equipment or selling the equipment. You can sell your equipment to this dude here. When you're starting off, you're probably going to go this area and kill some of these guards. When I go on past action, you can see all different levels of these guards as well. So they go up in levels depending on how much you get up your level in guard. The fighting skill for Hopeforest. Scout is the fighting skill for Hopeforest. A good spot I find to train in Hopeforest is this way, where you go to the town square, then down the old street west, and you carry on down here to this little alleyway on the side, and there is a bunch of thief that you can attack. It starts off as level 4. They're not going to be very effective now because I'm currently on my episode 4 armor, so I will have to switch this out. It's very ineffective to kill the mobs when you have your other episodes of armor. If I go back into my Quartermaster, essentially every episode has its own unique area specific armors where you then have to switch them out. So for example, I'm going to have to switch back to my Hopeforest equipment here, so I would then have to withdraw these, and then put them on. The next point to note is that they have certain immunities. So if I attack this mob here, what you'll see is when this symbol comes up, it shows immune. The reason for this is because they are immune to Cryoknight. Now, so that means I've got to switch to a different weapon that they aren't immune to. Certain mobs also have weaknesses. I will demonstrate that here. So if I equip this weapon, you'll see this green symbol here. Okay. And it says 37% on it here. And when I go into this area here, for example, and attack the thief with my spike type device, and the vulnerability here, you can see that it's Arbore. Okay, so it's the green symbol, and when this kind of procs, then it's just that it's vulnerable to these attacks essentially. So you want to always try to match your weapon with what their vulnerability is, ideally, unless you've got a really powerful weapon with just general high impact, which is this symbol here. So high impact. Here is another example. So these are the death crows, and you can click on them. Oh look, it's vulnerable to Cryoknight. So what do I need to do? I need to switch to this weapon. It's going to absolutely destroy them, and I'll click on that, and hopefully as this procs, then this is going to do some incredible levels of damage because this is the Cryoknight symbol, and you're going to be able to absolutely decimate this mob, especially because it's an epic sword as well in early game. So there we go, that mob went down in no time at all. You also get coins and items as well from the mobs as well. It's a good way to earn money. You can also pet cats in the game. When you plan on logging off, it's always good to do a passive activity. For example, the blue here indicates that this is a passive activity, and you can attack one of the mobs and you can log out, and essentially you will get XP as you are logged out. It'll stay like this, and you can close down your client, etc., and you will come back with a bit of XP and sometimes a bit of coins as well. It is very minimal, but it's better than nothing. Here's another example. So it will then put you in combat again, and you kill this. There is a fish stall here right near the hometown area, and you can actually sell fish and buy fish. So there is this fish stall vendor, and right next to it is actually some fish. This is the closest area to the fish stall vendor. So if you want to sell your fish immediately and just get some extra cash really quickly, this is the best way to do it. And then essentially just run back to the vendor that is only here. You can trade and then sell all. There is also activities that are passive for every single skill. For example, you've got these dabs that you can collect, and again it's got that blue symbol there, and you can look across the map as you unlock the map and see which areas are passive activities and which ones are active. You should though only really do those if you're planning on logging out. There is absolutely no point doing them when you're actually playing. It's minimal XP. You can catch these for a specific chef recipe. There is a route to this as well, because this is far out there. It's over here is where we are, and the area for where the restaurant is, where you can actually store your fishing items, is all the way over here. So, and the home port telly is here. So when you actually collect these, it's best to collect them first and then actually go on to, say, home port telly, and just as you run this way, you'll run up from here, and next to it is the actual restaurant, and as if you go to the back of it, you can actually store your fish there. Now you can only actually store certain fish. For example, this is an ingredients bank. You can deposit all, and this is where you can deposit all the fish, and you can also open it up to see all the ingredients that you have. Just outside is this vendor where you can actually buy ingredients, and you don't necessarily have to make fish dishes. For example, you could just buy a bunch of eggs and start making omelets. That's always a good way to start off with the chef skill, but there's also other items there as well that you can use. Now you can't store your cooked goods in there because it makes sense. You wouldn't store, you know, a hot omelette in your ingredients bank. So what you have to do is actually sell it to the head chef that then serves it to the customers. So we got done with making those. You would sell the items. There is also a bounty board, and what you can do here is make specific meals and then deliver them to certain areas in the town to specific people, and you get cooking XP and silver. That is a really good way to earn some money. There is also a Toolbelt where you can store various useful items and stacked goods. So for example, these Persian containers here that you can buy here, and then they then get stacked into this. So when you're actually training a skill, then they're automatically going to be used from your tool belt. You can buy Persian ingredients from this vendor here. So for example, if you need any apples, my inventory is full at the moment, but you would run back to here, and again there is another storage cupboard for alchemy. Okay, so every single specific area has its own storage cupboards. If you're not happy with how your hair looks, you can go to the barbers for a quick trim. It just costs 1 silver, I believe it is. Yep. And then you will get put with an interface to actually change the hairstyle if you want. There is also some fish that's close to that restaurant. One of them is these, the eels, so you can catch them at level 2 onwards. And that is right next to the restaurant, which is just up there, where you can actually go and store the fish as well. And there's certain recipes that are used, which are jellied eels. Some of the important potions are the XP for Hopeforest, the healing, fear, and this strength arbor. Hopeforest will give you extra XP, 5% all the way up to 10%. So the strength one actually gives you plus 40 to the strength of each attack. The fear potion, what it does is discourages monsters from initiating combat against you, and it lasts 3 minutes per dose. So if we drink that, and then we go through this area where these mobs are at, you can freely walk through without them attacking you for 3 minutes. So you can go anywhere. So if you need to go into like some higher level zones or areas, or you just want to boost through the quest areas, that is a good way to do it, because it'll mean that the mobs cannot attack you. Look, I'll show it again. You go back, they won't attack. This is an enchantment shop where you can actually enchant your tools. So if you click enchant item, now these are all non-combat weapons, so items for different skills that you can enchant, and it gives an extra XP buff, but these are incredibly expensive to do, so I wouldn't do this early game. This is the cape shop, and when you want to see on any vendor any future items you can buy, you can click this future items icon, and it shows here, for example, you must be a level 50 guard to buy this item, and that's the start of the cape, and as you level up, the cape gets longer. Another good item is the wealth potion. Passive monsters drop 250% more money, and it lasts 1 hour per dose. Another good mob to kill are these. They go up in level as well, so you will start off as level 12 ones once you've leveled up a little bit. And the good reason why these are good is that they don't move, so you can use your ranged attack for the first few hits and get 3 hits in, and then switch to your one-handed or two-handed weapon. The closest items that you can use for alchemy are here. So for example, you can steal the wall plant, and just up this way is the alchemy station towards the right here. Also, just to note, when you do make potions, you can actually stack potions in your potions bank, but also you can sell them to the vendor. As you gain XP, you will build more knowledge on here, and you can actually use these with rewards. So you can unlock different areas. You can also convert it for XP. Once it reaches 100%, you can get extra XP on a particular skill. And this knowledge bar fills just as you do any activities in the game, and then you can actively convert it for XP or silver. You click on the hand symbol here, you can do a range of different emotes to assess your displeasure or satisfaction to other players. There's also dancing emojis. For the professions, every single area has its own set of professions. For Hopeforest, Mind of Mantuban, and so forth. And you get an each area's own level for each area. And then there is a total level as well. So what you can do is you could become incredibly good in Hopeforest and just really focus on these skills, get really high level in that area. Or you could try do the same for the later zones, but that's completely up to you how you want to play the game and which professions interest you.